Welcome to Dark Docent. My name is Jake. Join me as I guide my friend James down the paranormal rabbit hole, attempting to prove the authenticity of a new case each week. Today's case: Nahanni Valley, the Valley of Headless Men. How you doing today, James?
I am doing good, Jake. How are you?
I'm not bad, brother. I'm getting through it.
Yeah, I'm officially unemployed now.
How's it feel to be free?
I've not done much with my time, but I'm also not bored of it yet. It feels good. Just out on the deck enjoying the sun and my coffee every morning.
The key to male happiness is unemployment.
Yeah. I highly recommend everybody just quit their jobs and make it work.
They can't audit all of us.
And that's why I need your support. For only $20 a month, you can support my unemployment. Please.
Well, in all seriousness, if they want to help support us in our pursuit of having a show that's doing relatively well, they can go to our Patreon, and they can pay $5 a month for bonus episodes and the ability to vote on each episode that we release on their own believability.
Not only that, it's $5 Canadian, which is basically free if you're American.
True. As well, if you send a picture to James, to us, to our email, darkdocentpod@gmail.com, James will do an MS Paint doodle over that image.
Not MS Paint. I do it on my phone with the phone markup.
Close enough. Don't let them know how low grade we really are.
I will do one professionally doodled photo per person.
Yep.
Once
for entering our Patreon. For everyone who's wondering how James' unemployment is going, to quote him, just discover the magic of a cigarette and a coffee in the sun to start your day.
Boy, is it magic.
James is living the life right now, and we are all jealous of him.
I'm seriously considering starting smoking just because of how good that is. My God.
You might have to change that year off to 6 months. Well, James, you're taking some time off work.
A little bit.
You're thinking about traveling.
Thinking about it.
I got a place for you that you might be able to put on your list.
Is it Djibouti?
No, it's not Djibouti. No.
Maybe next time.
You don't even need a passport for this place, because it's in Canada, my friend. I got a story for you. We are in the Northwest Territories of Canada, 1904. Brothers Willie and Frank McLeod have traveled all the way from Edmonton, Alberta, up to Fort Simpson to travel to the untouched land of the Nahanni Valley. But they aren't just here to sightsee, James. They heard that there would be gold in them hills. This is right near the end of the major gold rush in Canada. Kind of near the late 1800s, people were getting more desperate, trying to find better spots to get rich quick. Rumors have swirled about a massive gold vein, untouched by prospectors, a deposit of gold larger than any other found in Canada. Everyone thinks that they're crazy. They want to trek into the Nahanni Valley for the minute possibility of gold based on unsubstantiated rumors. But you're saying there's a chance. The McLeods had a feeling that this was legitimate. It was also the dying days of the gold rush, as said, and any gold vein, let alone a massive one, was something that gold miners are after. Never minding the doubters, they ventured anyway. And many thought that would be the last anyone would see of the McLeod brothers. But a year later, the McLeods had returned, and in their possession, a small amount of gold nuggets. And they had reason to believe that this was just a little bit of what could be a massive vein in the Nahanni Valley. So they decided to go again in 1906 with another man named Robert Ware. But this time, they never returned. After 2 years, older brother of the McLeod boys, Charlie McLeod, decided that it had been far too long and a search needed to be conducted. He got a team of men together and began to search the Nahanni Valley. It was Charlie and 5 other prospectors that began to go out through the massive, untouched wilderness of Nahanni. The search seemed like finding a needle in the haystack, and the Nahanni is extremely remote and treacherous, but he was determined to find his brothers. One day, they began to set up camp, and so far they had found nothing of any sort of evidence of the McLeods, when Charlie noticed a burnt tree that caught his eye. When he approached it, he found an old campfire and the initials FM and WM carved into the tree. Those were his brother's initials. This had to be them. No one goes to this valley. It is so hard to get to. So they trekked another 90 miles, following discarded campsites and different carvings in trees to see where the McLeods went. As they're trekking, one of the prospectors cut his foot, so he was going to stay behind and bandage it and catch up to the group later. But minutes pass, and that prospector bursts through the bushes. They're wondering what's wrong with him. What's all this rush? He's just excited, jumping around. He alerted them that he had found 2 bodies. They went back to the tree where he had bandaged his foot, and they found 2 skeletal remains beside an old campfire. One was still wrapped in his sleeping bag. The other seemed scattered, with his skeletal arm reaching for a rifle leaned against a tree. The tree appeared to be burned, and the chest cavity of one of the bodies appeared to be crushed inward, indicating a gunshot from a powerful rifle. But the strangest part? Both bodies were missing their heads. These bodies were confirmed to be the McLeod brothers due to finding Frank's watch and ring. And they weren't the last people to succumb to a similar fate, giving the Nahanni Valley a new moniker that still stands to this day. James, have you heard of the Valley of Headless Men?
Nope, that's a new one.
Another new one.
Another new one.
Alrighty.
And so close to home, too.
Only a few 100 miles north.
What's a mile?
Sorry, kilometers. Eh?
A.
We're not translating anything for anyone. We're staying homegrown for this one. So, Nahanni Valley, it's extremely remote.
Yep.
And this is one of the things that I kind of point to when people are like, there's no Bigfoot. We would have found him by now. Because I'm like, Canada's massive, and I don't think people really grasp how big it is.
How big is it?
Let me tell you, James. This is just the Nahanni Valley, okay?
Okay.
The Nahanni Valley is about the same size as Belgium. And it takes just a little bit of the Northwest Territories, just in the southwest corridor of the Northwest Territories. And it's a whole country in Europe here, okay?
They do have lots of tiny countries.
They do. Belgium's still big. It's a whole country. I believe it's 30,000 square kilometers. The Nahanni Valley didn't actually start to be explored by Europeans until the latter part of the 1800s. And it is gigantic and barely touched even today. Only a few hundred people visit per year, and those who do need permits. And the trek is absolutely grueling.
Permits? Who's going to stop you?
Well, here's the thing, James. You can't just drive to Nahanni Valley.
No, if you look at the map, there's no roads in most of the desolate wasteland that is Canada.
Yes. There are no roads that take you to Nahanni. The trek is a combination of plane, foot, and also you have to kayak or sail up a river to get to it. Those are your only options. And the closest town is about 300 kilometers away in Fort Simpson.
You're really grasping at golden straws when you're going out there?
Oh yeah. Basically, it's no wonder that people can die out there.
Yeah.
It's Northwest Territories. It gets to minus 40 Celsius.
Yeah. Should we translate that one?
I guess so. I still think Fahrenheit's a stupid measurement of temperature, but I've had American listeners be like,
You'll never guess it. You'll never guess this.
minus 40 Fahrenheit.
Minus 40 Fahrenheit.
It's minus 40 Fahrenheit?
I guess that's what it is, minus 40.
Such a stupid thing. I will forever be against Fahrenheit.
I'll call that convenient in this case.
Well, it does make things easier, but Fahrenheit's still stupid.
Maybe we can be friends.
We have American friends. All of our podcast friends are American. We have no Canadian podcast friends, by the way.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah. Anyway, that's not important.
Not important.
Do you want to see a picture of the Nahanni Valley?
I bet it's trees and mountains.
Close.
Oh, minus the trees.
No trees. Well, not many anyway.
It's damn near the Grand Canyon right there.
That is the Valley of the Headless Men.
Oh, I think that'd be a hard one to get lost in.
Actually, it's quite easy. These are the deepest canyons in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, you only go one way or the other. And there's water in the middle, so it only flows one way or the other. Probably down.
Yeah, it's still a very dangerous trek. And also, from up here, this view is fairly aerial. Pretty up high.
Yes.
Down below, some of the river is just cliff edge with no beach or anything to it. So if you're going down it, it's just walls of rock beside you.
Yeah.
And there's actually some points of Nahanni where the rock is so steep on the river, the sun actually doesn't hit it. So you're just going through darkness at some points.
Oh, lovely.
It's a creepy place. And it is very beautiful, but it is just as beautiful as it is dangerous. The Dene people who occupy this region spoke of prehistoric creatures, giants, and even spirits that occupy the Nahanni Valley. The Dene described creatures that matched the description of mastodons, woolly mammoths, dire wolves.
I mean, there probably were woolly mammoths at one point.
Here's the thing. Native American history is primarily oral history.
Yep.
They pass things down through stories. And also, the Dene people have lived in this region for 10,000 years. We actually have records of them going back that far.
Oral history records?
We found things and carbon dated them.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, so we know they've been here for at least that long. And when they speak of prehistoric creatures, they didn't call them mastodons, woolly mammoths, dire wolves, but when they tell us about it, it matches that description. And they even claim that the valley was protected by a massive wolf-like creature that they called the Wahila. This creature was basically a big wolf-like creature, kind of like a half bear, half wolf description sometimes. But it does basically describe a dire wolf. And according to legend, it was known to take the heads of hunters that trespassed too far in the Nahanni Valley. But they were also very conflicted on shooting this creature. They saw it as like a spirit. And the Dene believed that they would never shoot at wolves. You never shoot at wolves. Because they believed that the wolves were their dead ancestors. And if they shot at the wolf, it would cause that rifle to never shoot straight again. Also, they would burn all the belongings of a member of a tribe after they died. There's a lot of very superstitious beliefs when it came with the Dene, but they took it very seriously. And one of the things that stands out most of all when it comes to all of their lore is they claim that they weren't the only tribe in the Nahanni Valley. They spoke of another tribe called the Naha people. The Naha people were said to be a lot bigger in stature, way more violent and war-hungry. They were known for attacking the Dene on several occasions and just being absolutely ruthless. The Dene genuinely feared these people. However, we only have oral history of the Naha because one day, according to the Dene, the Naha strangely disappeared and were never seen again. Now, we don't know if they were once a tribe and just ventured deeper into Nahanni, or if they did just all die out. They're not the only tribe to have just disappeared. Another cool thing is the Nahanni is actually home to a waterfall that is twice as tall as Niagara Falls. So that's interesting.
Yeah, how about that?
So this is what I mean by a lot of Canada is very untouched and hard to get to.
Yeah.
Only 300 people per year on average reach the Nahanni.
That's more than I would have thought.
It is more than I would have thought. That's on
Is
average.
that just because? Something for people to do?
Yeah. They have permits. They go in, they hike around, they trek, camp up there. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for the, Sunday hiker. It's for the people who are really avid about going out there.
Friday with the boys in Nahanni Valley. Beer, hot dogs, and maybe Bigfoot.
The song Where's Your Head At's playing on loop. The MacLeods were the first people to go missing and then be found headless in the Nahanni Valley. And since then, the lost MacLeod mine has been spoken of as legend and has been the main reason that many prospectors have still gone out there to try to find it. Because it was largely believed that the MacLeods did find something and they were close to it. So that region is still looked at. However, the MacLeods weren't the only people to have gone missing. and has led to many names in the Nahanni Valley to have changed. There are regions like Funeral Range and Dead Man's Creek. You go everywhere throughout the Nahanni, and it's all names like that.
I mean, they're probably dropping like flies out there.
Yeah. It wasn't kind to them. It's not a kind place. But it still didn't stop people from wanting to get riches. The gluttony of man can never be quenched. And this leads us to our next prospector, a man named Martin Jorgensen. Martin Jorgensen was a Swiss prospector who tried to find the McLeod gold mine. He went out to the Nahanni Valley in 1912, and he was out there for years with very little contact. And he actually wrote back in 1915-14, around there, saying that he had found gold and that he planned to build a cabin and mine all that he could before coming back to town.
Gold miners are really built different.
It's insane to me, like how tough you had to be.
The distance you have to go is just pure survival, and then you're building houses and cabins and whatever on top of it, and then you have to haul that back somehow.
Yes.
I've heard gold's heavy as shit.
It is. They're hauling this by hand.
Yeah.
And like with horses and stuff. But they have to also go on river rafts.
Meanwhile, people need specialized runners to go on their walks. Their hiking poles.
I need those shoes that frame my toes. Here's the thing, is I didn't bring this up in the McLeods, but the first time they went out there, their boat actually got damaged and sunk. So they made a makeshift one out of trees and moose hide to keep going.
Which means they got a moose too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like these guys would go out there, they'd hunt, they'd live out there, and they'd survive.
Speaking of things bigger and just as dangerous as bears.
Oh yeah, moose are... You talk to any Canadian hunter,
yep,
they will all say the scariest thing to encounter in the woods is a moose, because they're so unpredictable.
A moose can stand between 1.4 to 2.1 meters tall, which is between 4'7" and 6'11". What? That's not right.
I think that's probably at like the hip.
I was going to say, no fucking way that's right. Average height of a moose is 6.5 to 7 feet at the shoulder, and they can weigh upwards of 1,600 pounds.
Yeah, they're monsters.
Their antlers can get up to 6 feet wide.
Yeah, it's insane.
And they look silly.
They do look silly. I saw a moose on my honeymoon, and I was like, oh, I'm so stoked to see this moose, and I was taking pictures of it. And after like the 5th photo, I was like, that's just Cricket. He looks just like my dog Cricket. He's doing the same stupid eyes and everything.
Yeah, I kind of see it.
So Martin began to build a cabin, and he was going to stay out there and mine all that he could. However, after 5 years and a few years of no response, they began to think that something had happened to Martin Jorgensen. A search party was put together to go out to the Nahanni Valley and try to find him. They went to his last known location, and that's where they found the remains of his cabin, burned to the ground. And once they got within the foundation of the cabin, that's where they found Martin's body. And again, with no head. Now again, there was no explanation. The RCMP did investigate, and they claimed that it was just an accident, and then Martin's head was taken by scavengers. I don't necessarily agree with that. But what do you think?
I don't really know at this point. We haven't had much to go off of other than the heads being missing. And the fires, of course, the burning.
Yes.
The burned tree, the burned cabin.
Yes.
I mean, logic would point fingers at the tribe.
Yes.
But I'm sure there's more to come.
Well, the tribe obviously was a thing that was focused on.
Yep.
I don't think it was the Dene. And the reason I don't think it was the Dene is because they didn't actually live in Nahanni. They lived more around the south and southeast portion of it, but not actually in the valley. They actually considered the valley like a sacred place.
I wonder if the burnings could be like an after thing. Like maybe they were killed, their heads were taken, and then their tradition of burning the stuff, they burned it afterwards.
Possibly.
If they came across them dead. Possibly.
But we'll get into more here.
Yep.
Because, of course, Martin Jorgensen was not the last man to be found in Nahanni.
I certainly hope not.
10 years later, a man named Yukon Fisher in 1927. He was an outlaw on the run from the RCMP. and he decided the best place to hide was in the rural Nahanni Valley. There is a method to his madness.
Not just the death wish?
No. So, what people kind of think is Yukon went there because he knew about the McLeod gold mine. He thought if he snuck into the Nahanni Valley and tried to find the gold mine, he could escape through the Nahanni Valley with his riches and then find himself a new life. That's kind of where he's aiming at. And when you're on the run for the RCMP, I can see that being a goal.
Worth a shot, I guess.
Hey, at this time, there's only been 3 headless men found in Nahanni, and at this time, a lot of it was pointed as Danae's superstition. So, I could see a guy being ignorant of that fact and just going with his gut.
Or there's just this really sick Bigfoot up there ripping people's heads off.
Well, there is a thing called the Nahanni monster.
Is it hairy? With big feet?
It is hairy with big feet.
Huh.
There's actually a copious amount of cryptids in Nahanni Valley. We have the Nahanni monster, which is basically a Bigfoot, a 9 to 10 foot tall hairy man. We have mastodons, dire wolves, that are claimed to still be seen today. We have the Nukluk, which were dwarfish type people who had clubs and long beards, kind of seen as a relic man. The list goes on and on.
Like, the valley, sure, it's kind of big, but there's like nothing for anything to hide in there. It's a valley.
Okay. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
That's just like one part of it. That's not the whole thing. I'm just giving you, like, see all the canyons and stuff in the back in the distance? It goes on forever?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more to it than just this. This is a part of it, but there's lots more. It's a national park the size of Belgium.
I'd get it more if it were like a mystical, magical little forest that stuff could hide in. It's landscape.
Yes.
It's rock and a little bit of foliage. I don't think there's any mastodons running around over there.
Personally?
Yeah.
I don't think so either. I think that the mastodon and all that was from past stories passed down.
Yeah.
And perhaps maybe a few squeaked through in the last couple hundred of years, like the last few maybe that survived. Because woolly mammoths lived after the pyramids were built.
Yeah.
Like, they lived up to about 4,000 years ago. So, in my opinion, people still claim to see dinosaurs. I think that it's more likely a woolly mammoth squeaked through the crack for a couple hundred years before dying off than a dinosaur.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I could see it happening up here where there's no one in this valley. If there was a place to hide, it would be in a national park the size of Belgium.
Yeah, fair.
Now, when it comes to the Bigfoot thing, I'm not surprised. Okay, Bigfoot are national, international, all around
interdimensional even.
Yes, all the inters, all the nationals, all the dimensionals, all of it. That is Bigfoot. Okay? There are Bigfoot sightings all over Canada, all over America. Wherever you go in the world, there's a story of a Bigfoot type creature. So a Bigfoot type creature living in this area is not surprising to me. Because we also have the Yeti that lives in a fairly treeless place over in Nepal. And it has a lot of evidence to it as well. More than the Nahanni monster, honestly. Because right now it's just kind of a story. In short,
I regret bringing a Bigfoot.
I know, I'll go on tirades forever. There are stories of cryptids and things in this area, and lots of people say that Nahanni Valley is like a time capsule. And that if you go deep enough, you will find prehistoric landscape that are dense in jungle and woods where ancient animals have thrived, like dinosaurs and stuff like that.
It sounds like a great story before we invented planes.
Here's the thing. You go on a lot of places, a lot of different podcasts, a lot of YouTube videos, that's what they'll bring up.
Yeah.
The lost prehistoric land. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm sorry for people that are listening. This is the part where I debunk a little few things here. So this got twisted a lot, and a lot of things about the Nahanni Valley have been twisted over time. It was a very, like, one of the last places touched by man in Canada, or by Europeans. Now, when it comes to the prehistoric land thing, that's just because of the oral history. Okay? The Native Americans, the Dene people, most likely lived alongside mastodons, woolly mammoths, and dire wolves because they were alive within the last 10,000 years with the Dene people, right? So when they speak of these types of creatures and describe them, and people hear the descriptions, are like, oh my gosh, that matches the description of woolly mammoths, of mastodons, of dire wolves. And then articles will take that and say, Nahanni, home of the ancient prehistoric land.
For those who don't know what a mastodon is, it's a woolly mammoth.
It's basically a woolly mammoth. It's a little different than a woolly mammoth, but it's basically a woolly mammoth. Basically, artists would take the prehistoric land thing and put it on their page. And people would read that, prehistoric animals, and what do you think of first when you think of prehistoric animals?
Dinosaur.
Dinosaur. So everyone's like, dinosaurs, oh my gosh. What else was big in the early 1900s, in the 1930s, as movies started coming out?
Aliens.
No.
Oh.
King Kong.
King Kong. Big monkey.
Big monkey in a land of dinosaurs. Okay?
Did we find the center of the Earth?
We're not on Antarctica right now. They do claim...
Antarctica. Arctica.
Here's the thing, is the Nahanni
The
Valley...
Arctic Circle.
Nahanni Valley is also connected to our friend Richard Admiral Byrd.
Yep.
Because they claim that, he flew over the Arctic and saw this land behind an ice wall. That might have been Nahanni. That's just people connecting things. It's not true. Nahanni Valley is a strange place. There most likely was woolly mammoths and mastodons and direwolves here because that's where they were. And the people that live here today were around when these creatures were around, and because of their oral history, we know they were there. However, it's really attractive online to post a picture of a dinosaur in Nahanni Valley and say, home of the prehistoric land that time forgot. There's no dinosaurs. And honestly, at this time, this part of the world might have been mostly underwater, so there isn't many dinosaurs when it comes to the west coast of Canada.
Small details.
Small details. I'm a big dinosaur guy. I like dinosaurs and science behind that, but I believe in Bigfoot. What the fuck's wrong with me? So, Northwest Territories and Eastern British Columbia would kind of be where the land would start. But that's why in like Western British Columbia, we don't get many dinosaur bones. Because it's mostly sea creatures we would see here. So no, I'm putting that to bed now. When they say the land of prehistoric animals is not a land of dinosaurs. But it does not mean that it's not a strange place. Because we got 3 headless men right now. And I got another one I'm talking about.
Perfect.
And I think you can see where it's going. So Yukon Fisher was an outlaw on the run from the RCMP. As said, he decided to hide in the rural Nahanni Valley and maybe get some gold and start a new life for himself once he got out. However, when he went in, he just disappeared. Until one day a prospector came across camp. They found a tent burned to the ground, and beside it, a body with no head that was confirmed to be Yukon Fisher.
How do they confirm it?
Based on his belongings. Stuff like that. That's how they based it on the McLeod brothers.
Yeah.
They had the watch and the ring.
Yeah.
No DNA back then, so.
Not even a head.
Not even a head. That's actually one of the main things. Is that you don't have a head, you can't really identify them. Now, after this 4th person, papers started to run wild with the strange Headless Valley, the Valley of Headless Men. And stories were going all about all these men found with no heads. All these people going missing, where prehistoric beasts are said to lie, where ancient spirits are said to haunt the caverns and canyons of the valley. But it still didn't stop people. In 1931, a prospector named Phil Powers was also found dead with his cabin burnt to the ground, and again, his body was found headless. The RCMP said that it was likely a stovepipe accident, and then his body was ravaged by scavengers. Now, a lot of people came out and said that that was unlikely. They did not agree with the stovepipe accident. Mistakes like that rarely happened in the wild back then. A lot of prospectors came out and said that that was unlikely, and they thought there was more foul play involved. However, the RCMP stuck with the story that it was just an accident.
I mean, all you could really do is guess back then.
That's kind of it.
If there's nothing obvious, then you're like, it's kind of nearby the stove. There's a fire. Scavengers.
They don't even have a good ground to put the little chalk outline around them.
No.
It's just gravel and dirt and stuff. Can't even do that. They're lost. And there's actually one more person.
Number 6.
Number 6. And that's kind of all we know him by, because we don't know who this person is.
Oh.
In 1945, an unidentified camper was found in his sleeping bag without his head. And guess what? His sleeping bag was burned.
Starting to see a pattern.
I am too. And a lot of people will say, you know, this is a cryptid with a sort of way it hunts. Or this is a spirit haunting those who invade the area they're not supposed to trek. I disagree with both those things. I think the motive and like the way these are done is like how a murderer would do it. it's all the same. No head, burning everything to the ground. To me, it sounds like a person. And in my opinion, I think that possibly the Naha were still around. They were known to be extremely violent, according to stories. And if they were a relic population that ventured deep into the Nahanni, perhaps they grew more and more violent as time went on and didn't take to anyone coming into their territory. But what do you think?
I think you could be on something up into killing and burning, and then I'm going to take it a step further because I can.
Okay.
So I'm a creative individual.
I know you are.
What's that type of bear? Is it just called like a honey bear? That bear that has like the long tongue to go into honey hives or beehives or whatever?
Oh, like sun bears?
Sun bears, I think?
Are those sun bears? The tiny bears that go into honey with the big long tongue? I think they're sun bears.
What if...
I could be wrong. It's like, we'll fact check. We got computers.
Okay, well, fact check that really quick, and then you really have to bear with me. All right, so sun bear, confirmed. What if there is this other type of bear that's kind of similar to it, but instead of honey, it goes for brains, and it came across these bodies that had been perfectly cooked and already deceased, and they took the heads away to lick out the brains later. Like, instead of a sun bear, it's like a nightmare bear.
You know what? Not your worst theory.
I'll take it.
But sun bears live in Southeast Asia.
Well, this isn't a sun bear.
It's a brain bear.
It's a brain bear. Like I said, it's a comparison, not a direct relative.
Okay, so this thing evolved to... So sun bears that live in the tropical lowland of Southeast Asia, a descendant of them made it across the Bering Land Bridge.
Bering Land Bridge?
It's the puns write themselves. And they adapted in a place with very little people.
Yep.
To eat human brain.
Not necessarily human brain, just scooping out the brains in general of the skull.
Wouldn't that take a lot more energy?
They have to get a lot more energy. They already have the tongue.
Okay, so we got...
They're not letting any of it go to waste, whether it's a wolf, a person, perfectly cooked, or something else. Or a mammoth.
Okay.
Although they probably just crawl into a mammoth skull at that point.
Okay. One, I love this.
Yeah.
This could be a movie.
Mm-hmm.
You just made a monster in a movie. That's amazing. I love this.
Thank you. Copyrighted.
I don't think as much to it as for a theory, but for a film, Mr. James?
Yep.
That's a great idea.
Oh, plausible.
Plausible.
Are there bears in the area?
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, there's bears everywhere.
Yeah, like I think the Kodiak bears, stuff like that. I think sometimes polar bears can come down that south early, even if it's cold. But there are bears.
There you go.
Now, a lot of people say that it was just scavenging and that the headwood goat was scavengers. If we saw the bodies a little more prior to their actual demise, I think you'd be able to surmise what actually happened to them better. But because all these bodies were found skeletal, you can't tell what was eaten first.
Maybe we have to keep trying. I guess you said, 300 people a year approximately go up there?
Yes.
Is this still like an ongoing thing, or is it kind of capiche?
It's still an ongoing thing. There are 44 people that we have on record that have gone missing or died in Nahanni Valley.
Gee.
Up to as recently as 2005. Back in 2005, there were two Native American hunters named David Horsey and Frederick Hardesty. Now, they were experienced hunters who left their rented cabin, and they were missing for a month before anyone found anything about them. Here's the weird thing. David Horsey's body was found nearly 4 kilometers from the cabin, and it was piled up with thick bush. And Frederick Hardesty's body was found 20 kilometers away, floating in the North Nahanni River. Now, people don't really know why they fled, and at their cabin, they found several bullet holes shooting outwards from the cabin. And no one knows what they were firing at, or what they were running from. It reminds me a bit of Dyatlov Pass. And to this day, we actually don't know what happened to them. It's been kind of chalked up to they both died of hypothermia. Again, Dyatlov Pass.
I thought you were going to chalk it more up to the Ape Canyon.
No, I couldn't find anything of any sort of evidence of a cryptid or anything attacking the cabin.
Right. It's more of people kind of trying to survive Against who knows what.
Who knows what? A overwhelming force they could not overcome, to quote the investigator from Dyatlov Pass. So these disappearances are not stopping. And even back then, I just went over the Headless deaths. There were several more deaths in the area. In 1920, 3 people were found tied to a tree with no heads, also burned at the tree. And as well, we had several disappearances, including an Albertan prospector who disappeared in the Nahanni Valley with absolutely no trace of him ever being there, named Angus Hall. We also had the disappearance of Joe Mulholland and also Bill Lapierre, who were both prospectors who went there together and both went missing. When the search began to find them, all they found was their cabin burnt to the ground and no bodies. And the weirdest one was the case of Annie Lefert. Annie Lefert was in a hunting party when all of a sudden she went around a bend and disappeared, and no one could find her. However, the night of her disappearance, a Native American hunter named Big Charlie witnessed a, quote, naked woman running up a slope with wild eyes. The description of this woman matched Annie Lefert, and it was the last known sighting we have of her. No trace of her body or any evidence of her has ever been found. This, to me, is getting into missing 411 territory. And we are in a national park, brother. One of the biggest in Canada.
The 411 extend into Canada, or was that just a US thing?
Yep.
Oh, it did?
It was national parks in North America.
Ah.
America was centralized in the study because Dave Paulides is from America. But there are cases of missing 411 in Canada, and many of these cases of these strange disappearances, about 40 or so strange disappearances without a trace, kind of fall into that.
I recall you saying wild people were a theory.
Mm-hmm. With the missing 411, yep, feral people. And this kind of goes back to the Naha people for me. If there was a leftover tribe of a person just killing people, defending the last bit of home that he has, or possibly a crazed person out there killing people. And we might have some evidence towards that.
I thought you told me we weren't doing murder mysteries.
Nahanni is different because it's like we don't know.
Yeah.
It's like Dyatlov Pass. Dyatlov Pass was, could be murderers, could be ghosts, could be Bigfoot, could be flying saucers.
Could be a highly localized, very small explosion.
Yes. Same thing with Nahanni. Could be Bigfoot, could be prehistoric animals, could be a lost tribe, could be a murderer. Now, here's the thing. I know we don't normally do the true crime stuff, but this is connected to a big fugitive case in Canada's history. One of the biggest fugitive cases, actually. Have you ever heard of the Mad Trapper of Rat River?
No.
Okay. So the Mad Trapper of Rat River, his name was Albert Johnson. He was one of the first major manhunts in Canadian history. Basically what this guy was, I'd like to do a bonus episode on him, so I'll give you the gist. But he moved up in the Northwest Territories. No one really knew who he was. He was a loner. He lived far outside of town. But a lot of Native Americans complained that their traps were being stolen from. So the traps would go off, they'd have a rabbit, and he would come in and steal it. And they claimed that it started when this white guy came in, and then all the traps were getting robbed from. So the RCMP went up there and knocked on his door. The reply from this knock on the door was a shotgun blast through the door, hitting one of the officers. So they went back and got an armada of police officers to come and do a siege on this guy's cabin. So they're lined up about to shoot him, and all of a sudden gunshots just start flying out of this cabin. But they couldn't tell where it was coming from. And then as they're getting close to the cabin explodes with dynamite. And they think he's dead. And then from the flames, gunshots begin again. And they hear him cackle with laughter as he runs out into the woods. His whole cabin was built like a bunker. It was dug down 6 feet deep, and he put drill holes for his gun to fit through so he could shoot out of it. This guy made a literal bunker out of a cabin because he was expecting someone to come get him. And it led to a 48-day manhunt covering 240 kilometers. And he actually trekked over the Yukon mountain range, which nobody had done at that time, with homemade snowshoes, and no one knows how he did it.
Hell yeah.
He went into the Yukon mountains, and they're like, oh, he's dead. And then there were sightings of him beyond the Yukon. Like, how the fuck did he get past that? So
I'm excited for this episode.
it was subarctic temperatures averaging minus 40 below in Christmas time. and he hiked through the Yukon to the other side. This was noted to be the first RCMP search that involved planes. This was it. And they did end up finding him. He did end up getting shot. And they did end up, bringing him back and searching his person. And they found something interesting.
A bunch of heads.
Similar. Gold fillings. Some of which that seemed to match the possible dental records of those who had gone missing in Nahanni. Interesting.
Grain of sand with that claim.
What's that?
Just random teeth matching dental records in 1904.
This was in 1904. This is like 1932.
Sure, but the people that were missing were from starting in 1904 or 1906 or whatever.
Here's the thing.
Yep.
This isn't the be-all, end-all thing.
Yep.
It just ties into a lot. So, a lot of people pointed at Albert Johnson being the cause behind the Nahanni Valley headless men. Here's the issue.
He wasn't there.
He was kind of in the area,
Yep.
but it still would be a long trek for him. But the thing is okay, you want to diagnose me, you can.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I was super into the Mad Trapper Rat River. I don't know why. I was all about it in like middle school, late elementary school. And I learned a lot about him. One thing people always bring up about this is he was buried in a unmarked grave. And Discovery Channel actually found it and exhumed his body. And they confirmed it was him.
Isn't that illegal?
It was for science, so maybe. Anyway, they did it. Doesn't matter. And what they found is this guy had really good dentistry work at the time. His teeth were filled with all sorts of like bridges and expensive fillings. And what they found was the fillings he had in his pocket were most likely his. If he got them replaced or whatever, maybe he kept them to possibly sell them or melt them down.
Yeah, if they were gold, it's not cheap.
Back then, that was actually more common. If you had, like, gold was valuable. Even if you had gold fillings, you would keep those and possibly melt them down to sell them. That is something that would happen. So a lot of people kind of ignore that and focus on the Mad Trapper as being the main suspect. No, the fillings were most likely his. And also, the murders kept happening and the deaths kept happening after he was shot. So I don't think it was him. But people always bring it up, so I had to bring it up here. From all these things that I'm showing you, James, right now, what do you think about the Nahanni Valley? Are you thinking there's something strange here? Do you think that, there could be maybe a lost tribe? What's your thing? What are you thinking about?
I'm leaning towards lost tribe. It seems pretty human action-y with everything being burned. Like, with the heads being stolen, it's like nothing else is really... No other parts of the body seem to be taken, just the heads.
No other parts of the body, and also none of their possessions.
Yeah.
That's the weird part. Like, if someone was like, just like lots of people bring up the fact that it could be, scavengers killing people to find their maps to different gold sites and then taking all their stuff. But in all these deaths, the possessions are left behind or burnt to the ground. But, nothing's taken.
Yeah, I was going to say, take it as you will. This could be like their version of scalping, for example. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm unsure.
But then again, if it's just them up there, then who really knows?
It could be like a thing to like ward people off. Like it seems like something a killer would do as like a trademark of their craft,
Yeah. I mean, if it was just some killer up there, that's a heck of a spot to live.
It is, but there are some people who actually lived up here for a long period of time. Prospector Albert Fay, he spent decades in the Nahanni Valley. He lived in the remote Nahanni region from the 1920s to the 1960s. And he was there because he was trying to find the McLeod gold mine. Lived there for 40 years. And they actually made like a little short film about him. There's a 1962 documentary called Nahanni that is all about him and how he survives in the Nahanni Valley.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could very well be a prospector who's trying to keep the gold for himself.
I don't think that when it comes to these prospectors getting killed, I think it's some sort of murderer.
Yeah.
I think it's a serial killer or some sort of lost tribe trying to keep people away.
Either way, it boils down to, I think we both think that it's people killing people.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like an animal.
No.
They're not torn apart or like scavenged for food. They're killed.
They're all burned. Too.
Yeah.
The burning, that's the obvious one.
And when people are like, what about evil spirits? Shut the fuck up. I'm a guy who believes in ghosts, but I don't think ghosts are going to cut your head off and burn you down.
Probably not.
I could see spirits, haunting the area, but I think it's more likely if there's going to be any strange explanation, I would say lost tribe. Now, our wonderful researcher Daria, she helped a lot with this case, and she provided some skeptical explanations to help out with this case. Here's a few of them. Natural decomposition in scavengers. Skeptics usually start with the simplest idea. In a remote place like Nahanni, bodies are exposed to animals and the elements for months or even years. Scavengers often go for the head first because it's easy to access soft tissue. A skull can be carried off, buried, or broken apart. From this point of view, the missing heads aren't mysterious. They're just what happens when a body is left in the open for a long time. People who push back say that the pattern doesn't look random. Several bodies were found with missing heads, and the rest of the remains were still in place. In some cases, gear supplies were untouched, which doesn't match the chaos scavengers usually create. And the skulls weren't just moved a few feet away, they were never found at all. That's unusual in the remote wilderness. And that's kind of what I was getting at before, is this seems planned.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem scavenged to me. Another possible reason, environmental hazards. Nahanni Valley is full of cliffs, caves, fast water, and sudden weather changes. Skeptics argue that you could have died from falls, exposure, or accidents. And then once the body is exposed to the environment, decomposition of scavengers just start going to town on you. This could explain some of the deaths, but not like how it's done. And it kind of goes on like that. Lots of it is, it could be this, it could be scavengers, it could be decomposition. But it doesn't seem like that in the end. This is where people are going to really turn the show. In the early 1900s, this was the prime time of sensational reporting. Every death that was linked to Nahanni, all of a sudden, maybe the guy's missing a head. Maybe report that in the paper. Maybe we add that to the legend. That sells papers.
I was thinking that earlier. Like, you go out there, you find a body, you've already heard of the legend, maybe you add to it. Say, instead we found this guy, we found this guy without a head. Easy, and it just plays into it.
Now, here's the other thing, James. I was telling you before we were doing this is that I put this case off a lot. And that's because of all the mixed reports. It was actually getting me mad. I would find a bunch of straightforward reports from reputable sites. And I'd be like, yeah, okay, I'll list all these guys down. And then I'll find other reputable sites. They're like, actually, this isn't actually how it went down. And then they'll link it back to something else. And everything had a different thing. Some of these guys had completely different names. But I just recognized it was the same story because it was told the exact same way. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to go back to Yukon Fisher. Reports at the time say Yukon Fisher was missing his head. The RCMP report allegedly does not have that in it. The report of him missing his head came from the newspapers.
Uh-oh. That'd be a pretty hard thing to miss.
And that's the thing, is a lot of newspaper stories don't line up with the RCMP reports of what actually happened. A lot of it was pretty sensationalized. And in the late 1940s, it was confirmed about 11 people had died in Nahanni Valley. However, the newspapers reported 13 for obvious unlucky reasons. Another thing people say is Nahanni Valley is Canada's Bermuda Triangle.
All right.
People go missing all the time. Planes go missing all the time, and it is a hotspot for UFOs. Every plane that has gone missing in Nahanni Valley has been found. Every single one. And every plane that has gone down in Nahanni Valley has been those Cessna planes. They go down quite a bit, and
Sound like junk.
they go down quite a bit, unfortunately. And with the way these canyons are built, if you fly too low, the wind changes so suddenly, your plane could go out of control quite easily.
Yeah.
And then you're in a place that's 300 kilometers away from the nearest town and extremely remote. It's not going to be easy to get out of there.
Nope.
So here's the thing, is in the 1940s.
Well, sorry, just add to it too.
Mhm.
You'd think that the RCMP, they probably don't like going all the way out there looking for people. You'd think they'd play into it too if they wanted people to stop going up there. Yeah, a bunch of heads are missing instead of vice versa.
They obviously didn't try their hardest to fight back on those rumors.
Yeah.
Another thing is in the 1940s was the rise of pulp fiction magazines.
Say what again?
Not that one. Different one. One of the guys who started these pulp fiction magazines was a man named Vince Gladys. He was the guy who coined the term Bermuda Triangle in the 1960s.
Ugh.
There was a lot of stuff like this happening at the time. of fantastical magazines of scary stories, and they didn't really need to confirm if they were real or not. They could just say, who knows, and leave it at that, right? And that kind of ties back into a lot of the Nahanni Valley legends. Lots of them were misunderstood Native American legends, twisted by white people, European settlers, taken in incorrectly, misunderstood, and then spread around like clickbait wildfire for the time. And when you source it back to the original stories of it, it's kind of like what I told you at the beginning. The Dene people lived along ancient creatures because these creatures were going extinct as the Dene were settling in the area. It's a possibility that the Naha were a real culture. Maybe. Who knows? But in my opinion, a lot of this is just hearsay and legend. And the only 4 people I've found that actually had their heads chopped off were the McLeods, Martin Jorgensen, and the unidentified camper. That was the only people that had their heads cut off. Otherwise, it's all kind of been added or misinterpreted or twisted.
4 is a lot easier of a number to tie predation back into it.
Yeah.
Still not perfect, but it's a lot easier to. Although I guess the burnings are still, if we're considering all the burnings to be real.
The burnings are definitely real.
Yeah, that's still throws a bit of a wrench in it, I suppose.
That's what I mean. It's like the cabins were burned down.
Yeah.
But it also lends credence to the fact that it could have just been someone shooting someone because of greed.
Yep.
Or any other different reasons. People shot people all the time back then in Nahanni Valley. The RCMP did not want to investigate there. Because there's nothing there anyway.
Yeah.
There's no real jurisdiction to investigate.
Doesn't sound very paranormal. Ooh. Though, does it?
In my opinion, it's mostly legend from sensational journalism.
Yeah.
With people disrespecting and twisting the Dene legends and creating a big folklore thing. And we've seen it before. We talked about with the Wendigo case. You know, Western culture has completely disfigured that legend to the point where everyone thinks the Wendigo is that deer creature nowadays, which is actually traditionally a Wechuge. Wendigos are more the spirit that takes form in that pale, skinny creature that we talked about on our Wendigo episode.
Yeah, educate yourself, people.
Episode 32, I believe. Go check it out. In my opinion, I don't think the Nahanni Valley is paranormal. Could there be ancient spirits there? Maybe. I could see that. It's a cool place. Could there be some creatures that don't see people that often? Definitely. Not many people go up there. Could there be a lost tribe? Kind of where I'm leaning.
They've been hiding pretty well.
They have.
You can spot them in the jungle over South America.
Well, here's the thing is that, if I could bring it back more to the modern day, that 2005 case with the 2 men that were found kilometers from their cabin, and their cabin was found with gunshots outward from their cabin, that's weird to me. And the Dene talked about how the Naha hunted or attacked is they would stay up high and attack from up high, and they would ambush from up high. And I'm curious if maybe they had arrows or guns up high on a mountain range and possibly started shooting from there.
Maybe, but you said all the bullets were outwards?
Outwards. If it was arrows, I could see them coming down and collecting their arrows so they wouldn't be seen. If they're trying to not be seen, I could see them collecting their arrows.
There'd still be evidence, I think. I guess it depends how deep the investigation goes.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But like, if they're looking close enough to know which way the bullets are going through, then it's like, oh, that looks like where an arrowhead stuck in. That looks like where, obviously, a bullet went in instead of out.
The big issue with the Nahanni is there's a lot of I'm not there, so I don't know. And I could see the police not caring as much in this place because...
And they're as elusive as Bigfoot.
Well, I mean, they are people. If they wanted to stay hiding, they could. So, I don't know. This is a tough one for me. I'm going to be fully honest with you. I got so worked up doing this one. And people might be mad that we lean more into the true crime side of things and more into the possibility of lost tribes. As I've gone over before, if you're new to our show, I lean towards the truth, or at least the most honest story. I'm a believer in paranormal phenomena, but I'm not going to lie to an audience telling people that it's what it's not. And if I'm trying to prove something to you, I'm definitely not going to lie to you about what's there and what's not.
Meanwhile, I will lie and make things up constantly.
That's what you're here for. You make my life difficult.
A bear with the long tongue that eats brains in the Northwest Territories.
It's got to be top 3 for you. One of my top 3 favorite things you got.
Thank you.
Welcome. Well, with that, James, you want to go conclusions?
Sure.
Let's do it. So today, James, on the case of the Valley of Headless Men, we have many men being found without their heads and burned down cabins, trees, or sleeping bags. We have rumors of prehistoric animals and lost tribes, as well as legends of ancient spirits, and the valley being a living place. However, we do also have a lot of sensational journalism and the twisting of indigenous legends. On our scale, from 1 to 5, 1, I'm an idiot. 2, you're skeptical. 3, you're on the fence. 4, there's something strange here. 5, the Nahanni Valley is a paranormal place. Where do you come down to today?
This is a bit of a weird one to rate.
This is a bit of a weird one to rate.
Is there a wrong answer? I don't think it's paranormal.
I don't think it's paranormal either.
That leaves 1 through 4,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't really know what those mean.
Well, here's the thing. You're coming down to the same thing as me. Let's change it up. Would it help if I came down on
letters?
What's that?
What? Go on.
We can do letters.
B minus.
Would it help? Let's change it up. I'm going to come down on my number first and give you my reasoning.
Okay.
And maybe that'll help you come down to yours.
Sure.
Today, I am a 3.5. The reason, because I believe that this was possibly due to the remaining members of the Naha tribe, possibly defending the last bit of territory that they had. The murders tended to stop around the 40s, 50s. However, people still go missing to this day, so I could see the possibility of a missing tribe still living in a place where only 300 people on average visit per year. And the place is the size of Belgium. So, me personally, I'm a 3.5 for that reason. Is that I'm just over the fence because I think the Naha tribe is not proven to be real. So I think that's a little strange, something strange to it. What about you?
Yeah, I think I could meet you around there. 3.5.
All right, we'll take a 3.5.
Just because I don't really know what that means. It sounds good to me.
I just think if we
I think in terms of everything we talked about, plausible.
Yeah, Naha tribe, like it's not 5 would be like, there's dinosaurs and Bigfoot and ghosts in the park.
Maybe we swap it up to like the Mythbusters rating scale.
Plausible.
Plausible. What are the other ones?
Busted.
And not busted.
I'll take a 3.5. We can do 3.5. I think that's an easy one because I think there's something to the possibility of a lost tribe there.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm I don't know. Yeah.
Sorry, today's a weird one. But I wanted to do it.
And I'm glad you did.
Thank you, sir.
I learned something.
I'm glad I could teach you something.
We have a valley in the Northwest Territories I didn't know about.
Yeah, there you go. We can get permits.
That's now one thing I know about in the Northwest Territories.
Yeah, there's that, and there's a lake that nothing can go in because it kills you instantly.
There's 2 things I know about in the Northwest Territories now.
I think it's called Rat Lake. Anyway, thank you for listening, everybody. I got James just over the fence on the Nahanni Valley, and I'm just over the fence too. This was a weird one to judge because James and I both don't think it's really paranormal, but there's a possibility of a lost tribe here or something unknown living in the valley like that. Please follow us on all of our socials, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. The link is in the description of every episode. If you enjoy what we're doing here, please rate and follow on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, or wherever you listen to. It really goes a long way for us. And if you want to support us just a little bit more, you can join our Patreon, where each month we have bonus episodes. As well, you have the ability to rank on your own scale of 1 to 5 on your believability of each week's episode. Also, if you join, James will do a doodle of your picture on markup on iPhone.
I'll post examples on the Patreon.
There you go. Also, share with your friends. Word of mouth is the best advertisement, and it is free. Also, if I missed anything, if you have any ideas for cases, or if you have evidence from your own cases, you can email us at darkdosenpod@gmail.com. With that, James, any words to the wise?
The future is now. If you go into the Nahanni Valley looking for stuff or whatever you're doing up there, be a good lad and like hide an air tag behind your ear or something. Then we can really figure it out.
Wise words from a wiser man. We'll see you on the next one, everybody. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.